Hi, I'm Brandon. I love Amazon Prime Christmas movies.
I'm Dan, and I despise Amazon Prime Christmas movies.
I'm Alonso, and Prime sequels to Christmas? Sure. And
Is it Deck the Hallmark Podcast?
Deck the Hallmark, it's his podcast. Brandon and friends host this podcast. We hope you like this jolly podcast.
Hello. Welcome back, everybody, to Mondays on Deck the Hallmark, where we explore as many possible Christmas movies from 2023 as possible that we did not get to.
And that's why we had Aaron come in and redecorate the studio for Christmas.
Every Monday it is going to be Christmassy.
Let's see how long that lasts. Maybe 2, you think?
We're starting off easy, with Prime, and we're gonna.
And I've got all my Santas up.
That's true. That's very nice. That's nice. We're starting easy with Prime, and then work our way to things you didn't know existed. I'm very excited about, heading over to Deku and All Black and Screambox. For some movies later on in the year. Things we all knew about. And of course, heading to like Disney Channel and Hulu and Pluto and BET Plus and a lot of the staples we've come to know and love over the past couple of years. Heading back there. Lots of movies in 2023 and lots that we need to get to still.
Yeah.
Very excited about it. Dan, are you excited to be back for another year of Mondays?
I would say that Mondays last year brought the best and worst of what Christmas TV movies have to offer. There were many that were below we did our ranking episode, Bramble Jam Plus, if you want to get that. We ranked our movies.
Top 5, top 10, top 15, bottom 10.
We talk about like Royal Christmas Crush and Letters to Santa, these classically bad movies. We watched some movies, the three of us last year, that slipped well under those bars. Just not even a problem. Limboed right under those suckers. But we also watched some, like the first one of these two movies, Your Christmas of Mine, that qualitatively, or This Is Christmas, that qualitatively were better. So I'm excited and also scared. How about that?
But I do want to tease this because I know there's going to be some ups and some downs and everything in between. But there is a movie, and I'm not going to say when we're going to do it, but Michael Rady is in it. It's a Christmas horror movie, and I believe it was shot on an iPhone. So that's coming. Oh
my gosh.
That's coming, everybody.
Right.
That's coming. Alonso, great to be back with you on Monday. We've been doing this for a few years now, you and I. It's great to be back. How are you feeling headed into this one? Are you excited to be getting back into the Christmas spirit after just getting out of it?
Yeah, it's like this gives me a little taste once a week, which I always appreciate, and also it makes my Christmas seasons a little easier because whenever I think, I got to get to these other movies that are out there, I'm like, you know what? I bet you there's a Monday coming up where that is slugged in, so I don't feel like I have to dig as deeply during the season because I know we're gonna roll our way around to it later. So
today's movie felt like the perfect place to start. We talked about doing it during the holiday season because of how much we loved the first one, Your Christmas or Mine. But it also made sense to not do a sequel in December. But I think starting off the year, kind of looking back at what I think we would all say is the highlight, if not one of a couple of highlights of Monday movies. Prime did a sequel of it, and of course we have to get to it. And so here we are today. Apparently Your Christmas or Mine 2 originally dropped on Prime on the 8th of December, and it went a little something like this. It's Christmas Eve, and James and Haley are running through the airport together. They are meeting their families at the airport, and they are going to all spend Christmas together, two families spending Christmas together. They land in Austria, and Haley and her family get into the royal van, as you do, to head on off. They're going to the same place, so why not, just you go ahead, we'll meet you there. James and his family get the transportation that Haley's dad booked. It's basically just a station wagon, and Haley's dad was doing the best that he can over there. Both of the dads handled their own bookings for their own families, but were supposed to book at the same place. So when Haley's family shows up at this amazing, gorgeous, beautiful hotel, they're a little bit confused. He's like, I know what I spent. I don't think that this is correct. He looks at his booking and he realizes that this is not the place he booked at all. It's a little different name than the one that he booked, which means that James and his family are on their way to a literal barn, not the hotel that they were planning on staying
Joseph
at.
and Mary, and there's a baby.
Now we're talking about a good movie. Before they can get their situation fixed, they realize that A, they have no service, and C, there's a blizzard coming. So they all have to stay at the wrong place, and they have the wrong luggage. And for one family, this is great news, and for the other, it is not great news. Speaking of the luggage, Haley is going through what she believes to be James's suitcase and finds, trying to find something to sleep in, and she finds an engagement ring. This is not something she was expecting. In fact, they joked about getting an engagement ring at Christmas and how that's just silly. But now that she sees it, she is excited. She talks to her dad about it, and they're all just excited. This is great. But we see James talking to his dad and saying, wedding bells I don't think are on the horizon anytime soon. I obviously love her, but I don't know when that's going to happen. They then tell him that they got him into a very prestigious film school in Los Angeles, California. And he's like, this is exciting, but I don't like, well, how will that work with Haley and all that stuff? Cut back to Haley and her dad, and the dad told the entire family that she's going to get proposed to. They're excited. They tell the entire hotel. They pop champagne. Everybody's having a good time. Feeling the excitement, she takes the ring out of the box and imagines what the proposal is going to be like, putting it on her finger, and accidentally throws the ring off the balcony. An old guy helps her find it, and then it looks like this guy is proposing to her. These people take a picture and then are just stirred by how old this guy is. It's a funny bit. The next morning, it's Christmas Eve, and James and his family hop in the back of the truck of a guy who plays Krampus occasionally. And finally, James and Haley and the families are reconnected. The families all go skiing together while Haley and James just want some alone time. She assumes that he wants to propose to her, but he just wants to talk to her about the film school thing. But before he can do that, an old friend B shows up. B and James did that classic thing that was like, if you're still single and I'm still single, we'll get married. Instead of finishing the conversation about the film school, the three of them go skiing down a really steep mountain. Now the problem is Haley doesn't really ski and immediately crashes, so her day is done on the slopes, but encourages James and B to continue to ski together like a dummy. Feeling a bit homesick, the gals do a spa day while the boys go to the local pub and embark in various drinking competitions. They all get plastered, so Dad awkwardly spills the beans that Haley knows that he's dropping the question at Christmas. Then Haley finds out about the film school thing and is like, I didn't know about this. I'm not moving to LA. What is this all about? He didn't even talk to me. James needs to get some air and ends up talking to B, and he says that he wants to propose to Haley. Now that he knows that that's an option, wants to do it, but doesn't have a ring. She encourages him to practice a proposal on her. And what are you going to say? So he does this, and naturally, Haley overhears this entire conversation and assumes that he is professing his love to B and not her. He sees Haley, realizes what she must have thought, so runs after her and proposes using basically a keychain. She's like, you don't have the ring? And he's like, no, I don't have a ring. And she realizes that she must have looked in his dad's bag. And she's like, I'm done with this, can't do this. And so, and he asks about LA, and it does not go well. So she leaves, and the family all goes to leave together, and he's having a tough time. But his family is basically like, you should go try to get her. They're on a plane, Haley's family about to take off, and luckily they made it in time via a goat to stop the plane from taking off. And after Haley has a nice heart-to-heart with her grandpa, she realizes that she does indeed love James. And so when she sees James outside the plane, runs off, and they embrace. Back at the hotel, they talk a bit about the LA of it all, and maybe we'll go together, maybe we won't go together.
He's going.
She's like, maybe I'll go, maybe I won't. Yeah. He also had a conversation with his dad, and apparently the ring was he was going to give it to him, which is really nice. And she gives him a gift, and it is a card. And in the card, she asks him to marry her, and he's like, absolutely. They go inside, they tell the family that they're getting married, and how my friends was your Christmas or mine too.
We did it.
We did it. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back and we will break this movie down with 4 segments here on Deck the Hallmark. Welcome back, everybody. We're talking about Your Christmas or Mine Too, the prime sequel to the 2022 classic, Your Christmas or Mine. We're going to break it down with 4.
So well.
We're going to break it down with 4 segments. We're going to start with a hot take, and I'll start with you, Alonso. Alonso, I remember you loving Your Christmas or Mine. Did the sequel pack that same punch for you?
Surprisingly, yes. This movie, has a lot of hurdles to overcome. The main one being a sequel, and how do we send them to the wrong place again? And they come up with a clever way through that one. The British are so good at the kind of comedy of embarrassment, the comedy of awkwardness, where people are suddenly in the situation where it's like, but and there's so much of that in this movie in terms of the stuff that people want to say but can't, or they feel like they're not allowed to because of decorum or etiquette or whatever. I loved the general sense of awkwardness that often is popping up here. You left her out of your synopsis, but Jane Krakowski as the new girlfriend of James's dad is a gem, and absolutely it fits into this story perfectly, and is used to great effect here. I really enjoyed this, and it's a movie that's kind of about real stuff in terms of what happens when you're somebody who is not rich and you're in love with somebody who is rich, and then suddenly it's like, are they gonna just underwrite all these vacations from now on? I'm reading Capote's Women right now because the Feud thing is coming up later this month. And this whole thing about how Truman Capote sort of attaches himself to these wealthy New York socialites, and they're jetting him off to, their island in Greece or whatever. And it's that's a real thing where her family has to be like, look, we want to go on this trip, but we also don't want to just glom on. We want to pay our own way, but we can't pay our own way at the same place. Anyway, there's a lot happening here, and I think it comes off pretty well.
This movie is a ton of fun. So much of what is great about this series now are the families are so much fun. And I love that this movie wasn't entirely separated. I was worried when they ended up in the wrong places. It was going to be once again another movie where they were totally separate, because I really liked them together, specifically the two leads, and I thought that the two families would have it would be very funny to see them together. And then we get that. So we got both of those things. We got the funny misunderstanding wrong Christmas, but we still got a good bulk of the movie that was these two families being together. Haley's dad is just one of my favorite characters. I just think he's so funny and is just an absolute hoot. There's some classic almost Hallmark style misunderstandings. Actually, yes, Hallmark style misunderstandings. But doesn't bother me any because I like those movies. So thoroughly enjoyed this movie. And I'd have to go back and watch the first one, but this one was very funny, and I'd be interested to see if I like this one or the first one better. I can't really speak to it right now, but I thoroughly enjoyed this movie. Dano?
This is tough. The beginning of this movie I out and out hated. I have a newfound respect for Home Alone 2 in how logical and rational Kevin loses his family again. I used to think Home Alone 2 was such an embarrassment of him being home alone again, but him following the wrong coat and then hitting the woman that's taking the tickets and all the tickets going up in the air and letting him on the plane, that by comparison to Your Christmas or Mine Too, looks flawless in execution. I thought the hoops.
Hotel Bergschaf, Hotel
Schafberg or
Schafberg.
Bergschaf. An aristocratic British royal family getting in a 84 station wagon. I'm out. I'm out. I thought it was stupid. And I was like, and then pretty much every misunderstanding or hurdle from that point forward, I didn't even think past the Hallmark test. The flip side of this is I love these actors. Jane Krakowski is a welcome addition. Cora Kirk, we have to see more of her.
Phenomenal.
Cora Kirk is adorable, and she's wonderful in this movie. She's wonderful in Your Christmas for Mine. I looked at her IMDb. She's not really done much else in the States, especially.
I want to see Cora in another movie because I don't know if this is just her. If the because it's such a perfect character. And it just feels like I'm seeing someone who's just being themselves. So I'd love to see a different character because it's so perfect.
Asa Butterfield, who I think is underrated as an actor. He was in a TV show on Netflix called Sex Education, and that's an underrated TV show. He gives, even in some of the quieter moments, he gives a really good performance. There's also 2 or 3 great feels. And to Alonso's point, they have a way of tackling some big issues and making them just, hey, this is matter of fact. Sometimes with these issues, we get into pick a side and this movie does a great job of just being well, this is what's right. This is what's moral, right? And I really enjoy that. So had some feels, loved the cast. The gigantic hurdle of getting this movie to exist did not pass muster for me. But after the first 20 minutes, I out and out hated it. And by the end, I was like, all right, okay. That was better time spent than most other movies I watched. So there you have it.
It's time for all the feels. Alonso, a few to choose from, in my opinion, but any stick out to you especially?
Yeah, I mean, I think the James Cora relationship is just lovely, and the ups and downs of it all. I mean, yes, there are some moments that are very contrived misunderstandings, but I think they do kind of get to the root of bigger issues that these two people would actually have to deal with in the world. So that I thought was handled effectively. I love a good Krampus gag. I thought that was a good setup payoff a couple times in this movie. Again, Krakowski, I think just is such a gem. And I love the whole thing of her telling her dad this thing in confidence that of course he blurts to everyone, and that everyone else blurts to everyone else. Literally the entire hotel is in on it at that point. So some solid gags. The old guy with the ring proposing thing. There's these, and I think just the fact that the settings are so cool in this movie. That is a resort you would want to stay at and have the 12 desserts, and the barn is an exaggeration, but in the same way that something like Christmas Vacation, where it's okay, this is the absurd version of this, but there's also a recognizable version of you've booked that hotel before.
I do think it was 13 desserts, and because that's a more logical number.
Indeed. What was I thinking?
A couple of just great conversations. I thought her conversation that she had with her dad, when she's so excited that she might be getting proposed to. I thought that conversation was really sweet. The conversation with her grandpa on the plane. Phenomenal. And this guy's not really giving you much other than the occasional one-liner throughout the movie. The advice was great, but also the scene was just really well performed. And when I assumed we were getting a dad proposing to the new girlfriend, and to have that ring be handed to James, and also the conversation that they had about his mom was so many great scenes that were just performed to perfection. Dano?
The best payoff in this movie, this side of the Krampus bit, which clearly was a great, as soon as you saw how scary that mask was, you're they're going to pay the heck out of this off. You just know they are.
and that ramp.
Yeah. The best payoff in this movie are the two gifts they mention at the beginning of the movie where they go, I got you a Fitbit because that's what you wanted. You got me all I got you is a card. And then the payoff of those two gifts is phenomenal. I do think the movie I would have rather seen is a comedy that's like a Meet the Parents comedy where they're all together. We don't have to do this Your Christmas or Mine thing. And they have to realize that the class structure of England, among other places, and the class structure of their relationship is a hurdle that they have to climb. But to Brand's point, and this scene was phenomenal, the grandfather on the airplane, who is kind of the patriarch of this family and was in an interracial relationship. And this movie kind of like hints at the fact that, when grandpa was coming up, that was frowned upon. Heck, there's a prominent university in Greenville that wouldn't allow interracial dating or marriage and thought it was godless in the 21st century. So this is an issue that is not talked about much. And he says, one of my favorite lines I've ever heard watching this movie is, you are the only one that gets to decide where you belong. And if you're the exception in the room, it's because you are exceptional.
Yeah, great line.
Yeah, that is a great line.
Man, I like borderline in tears. Such a great line from a character who has basically been a one-line vending machine for this movie. Was phenomenal. It was a great moment, and it almost literally the first 20 minutes of this movie, I had to stop watching it, and I went over to pick up my kids who were at Brand's house. He was like, "How's it going?" And I was like, "First 20 minutes suck. They're really, really bad. That I can't believe we're doing another one of these. The first one was good." And then you have this moment at the end of this movie, and it's like worth it, I guess. It was so good. Yeah.
Yeah, like it's great that the issue of race is such a non-issue for the most part in this movie, but then they make it an issue, it means something, and it's historically, relevant and accurate.
And I will say what I'm sure we're all thinking too as one of our feels was it's just good to see people be as good at skiing as we are. Like when James and B are going down the slopes, I'm like, it's good to see myself.
You and I, when we dice up the slopes.
Unbelievable. We're so good, and we don't like to talk about it a lot. Like, we don't like to brag.
Yeah, we make sure we have those, you can't, they're tinted, so nobody has to come up and ask how we're so good. Yeah, of course.
They get it.
We crush the slopes.
Let's take a quick break. Should we do Bramblefest on the slopes one year? Like the homework.
No. Dude, I'm just telling you right now.
It's like the youth group ski retreat.
Yeah,
instead
like
of worship, it's Pig Bones doing Baby Got Back.
I think Elizabeth Cullen just died. We have to find a ski resort that we can rent out.
Yes.
In not July and add what?
No, we do it in July.
Add the shenanigans that ensue at Bramblefest. Add someone getting on skis to that.
It's a non-skiing ski retreat.
I think.
Well, isn't there there's like a fishbone or herringbone, some kind of move with skis?
Pizza, French fry. Come on, man.
Well, that one, sure, but like Higbone does a herringbone or whatever.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
It is time for the Wait What, is where we talk about what in this movie made us go, wait, what? And Alonso, I'll start with you.
So there's a running joke where the Cora's aunt, who's like always on the make, it has Duolingo German that she keeps unleashing on people, and they all sort of look at her a bit quizzically and walk away. And subtitles would have
helped a bunch,
because I think there's a joke here where she's saying something that's like, my strudel is in your briefcase or whatever. And that would have been funnier to see like how exactly she is mangling German. And I watch everything with the captions on because I'm old and deaf. And all it said was like speaks German or whatever. And so it's like, I think that was a missed opportunity for some laughs. I'm more kind than Dan in terms of like just allowing for the sort of nonsense of these movies, but the proposal thing is like, really are we still, this is so like 2017 Hallmark, like that she would walk in, hear that, and honestly think that was what was going on. It's like, come on.
I got to be honest, Alonso, thank you for saying that, because in my notes, all I have written down is in all caps, good grief, How could she even think that? And I couldn't remember what the context was for that. And you gave me the context for
Now
that.
you know.
The idea that she thinks for a second that's a real proposal is just crazy. Like, just stupid. Yeah.
Yeah, this is the kind of thing where like this movie could have ended 15 minutes earlier if they'd had like one real conversation. But
it's
no,
an hour 40. We could have shaved it off too. I would have been happy with that. Yeah.
That's it.
I have one that I brought a clip for.
Wow. Look at you.
Can I ask you guys a question? The song Winter Wonderland.
Oh, I know this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
In the meadow, we can build a snowman and pretend that he's what?
Is either Parson Brown or a Santa Clown.
A Santa Clown?
Yeah, they said
that's how Peggy Lee.
They said
it.
Santa Clown, and I was like, "What in the world is happening?" I thought it was a circus clown.
Yeah.
In the meadow, we can build a snowman and pretend that he's a Santa Claus.
A Santa Clown.
Never heard it before.
I had no idea, and I've been listening to Christmas music. All year for my entire life.
But he's about to set us straight. Go ahead.
Peggy Lee. Peggy Lee did Santa Clown. Everybody else does Circus Clown, but Peggy Lee famously made it Santa Clown. So when I heard it in this one, I was like, okay, that's the
Thank you. So it is Circus Clown universally.
Not
generally.
Okay,
speaking.
good. Universally means every. So not, but it is. Yes.
Not
almost.
Nearly.
Okay, good. I'm glad you heard it too.
I did.
I'm like Santa Clown.
It was on my list.
What is this? I don't have a ton else for this movie. I do have mainly. Maybe don't make a ton of custom sweaters and just spend a little bit more money on the hotel to get there. There's a weird, like, we can only afford a barn, but also here's a slew of custom sweatshirts.
Right.
And you need to leave. I'll book a flight this very day. So a little bit of a confusion on how much money this ice cream truck guy has. Dano?
The amount of leeway I gave British royal aristocracy and Jane Krakowski's character for like dealing with the circumstances they were in, it ended 2 minutes into the I just couldn't get over the fact that they just keep going along with this like it's their only option. Like, the thing about being rich is people that are rich, they don't settle when it involves their personal discomfort. They don't. They just go, well, no, there's got to be another way. How much does it cost? Like, they literally, any British royal would have seen the station wagon and gone, why are you picking me up in that? Where are we going? That's not right. I'm going to call another car. I'm going to call another. I don't trust. I'm going to call another car. That's what they'd have done. And I think the movie's better if they're just all at the nice hotel. Like, why do we have to do this? Like, I don't like
that was part of the thing, is that I didn't really feel like the initial confusion of her family would still happen. And I think that's the more interesting, conflict there, is how do we act in this world that we're not a part of?
That's right.
Because
there's a way to write this, I think, where the James insists that they take the station wagon so as not to shame the other family.
Yeah, correct.
But they don't quite go there.
Or they hire, like, James hires the drivers, and so both cars look nice, but they're given instructions to different places. So they're, you know what I mean? It's like, oh, here's their hotel and here's this hotel. We thought it was the same, and it's not. I mean, I still at that point when he gets there, they're like, well, you can't leave now. There's a blizzard coming later. They're going to get out of there. Like, if they just are. Like, it just isn't. Doesn't work that way for rich people. I
did like the snow truck running gag.
Yeah, that is fun. That's a fun gag. Maybe you can answer this for me. He says, the owner of the Bergschaft, the bad one, right?
Yeah.
He says there is no cell signal, there is no phone, there is no internet. And then that evening, Asa Butterfield is talking to Cora Kirk on his cell phone.
Yeah, no, he did the classic, you go up high and you get it.
He went on
he went on his bunk bed. He went on the top of the bunk bed.
Yeah, it was like it was like that scene in Parasite where they have to go stand in the bathroom because it's the one place they can get service.
But then he has the phone down by his ear talking.
Yeah, once you have it, you can't lose it.
No. I don't think that's how that works. Another problem I have with this movie with a misunderstanding was there would be a lot of context clues that she is opening up the wrong suitcase. By the time she gets to the, what do they call that? The wash kit, where the ring is in the wash kit. She has said, "Can I wear one of your tops?" She's going to look through and not recognize. It's going to be an elderly British man's wardrobe.
Yeah, she just didn't get there though. The wash kit was on the top, and so she sees the ring, and that's it.
But even in the wash kit, what Asa Butterfield would have would be stuff like, I recognize this smell, like this deodorant or this whatever. Like,
what are these blue pills?
Yeah, there's look, I wasn't going to go there, but there is going to be a drastic difference between a 25-year-old's wash. Some 25-year-olds don't even have a wash kit.
It was the perfect stacking of luggage. Like, open up, wash kit right on top, ring is at the very top of the wash kit.
Yeah.
Go no further.
But it's like...
She didn't get to the after.
Exactly. Like, there's so many differences in those two things that she would not... And I just want
And apparently she just...
in my head and in my heart, Cora Kirk is smarter than that. Like, she just is,
Did she ever get anything to wear? Don't know.
No,
doesn't matter. She has the ring.
They're at the top of a ski slope, and they decide they're going to ski down, even though Cora Kirk's character doesn't know how to ski. And they're like, well, it's the gauntlet. And you and I have carved up the slopes. We've diced up the slopes. We've already covered that. We don't need to cover that again. But let's say that we hadn't and would look like buffoons on a ski slope. I have been skiing exactly twice in my life and plan never to go again. But I've seen enough ski slopes to tell you that whatever they skied down was not a gauntlet. It was wide freaking open. It was pretty easy going there. Now, would you and I fall on it? Yes. But to call that slope the gauntlet is a disservice to gauntlets. It doesn't hold up in that regard. And then lastly, they fixed this at the very end of the movie, but when they talk about the first time that he drunkenly talks to her about Los Angeles, they act like it's a forever move. Like, I can't uproot my life. This is 12 months. It is a 12-month course that he's doing. And so later in the movie, like towards the end, they're like, well, it's 12 months. Maybe I'll come with you. Maybe I won't. But early in the movie, to act like he's asking her to uproot her life is not accurate per se. Like, to go somewhere for 12 months is a lot. It's a big commitment, but he's not asking her to permanently move to Los Angeles, as the way I understood that.
Right. You're right. I think maybe the case could be made that for people in their mid-20s, a year feels like, this huge thing. And is she just going to be, again, it's that issue of like, am I just going to be there to glom onto your like rich man shenanigans, or do I have an actual
And I also just
there?
kind of took it as less of that being the hurdle and more the fact that this is the way that I'm finding out.
Correct.
That's the hurdle.
Yeah.
Sure.
It's time for Prime the Pump.
I don't love it.
Or wonder what could be. Alonso, what are you still wondering about, bud?
Well, I think that, I love the fact that you are a fan of the actor who plays Haley's dad, Daniel Mays, because I think we know who's going to play Bran in the next episode.
I did have that thought as well.
This man has your head.
He does. He has some similar mannerisms.
He is so Bran. It was just not, but between the character's love of Christmas and just this guy's literal, phrenology, I'm like, the Bran in the movie.
We both
there
talk similar. Both have it down to
the accent, 6 of one, half dozen. That guy's American.
Really?
No, of course not.
I feel fooled. Boy, I'd like to meet him though. Shout out to that guy.
Yeah.
Aaron, can you do a side by side?
Yeah, do that in post. Yeah. What the hallmark is, how do I get what the F I want? I would like to know. New York Times bestseller, can't be wrong. So shout out to that. Dano?
Mine was the Haley's family's money, and you brought it up in the Wait What, so I don't have to rehash it, but it seemed weird that it's like we booked a barn for our extended family, but we also made $500. You spent a third of the cost of the lodging on custom
jumpers,
and it just never. And then you booked a flight the day that your daughter gets.
But
upset.
it's also like there's no way this guy would book. No. The grandpa's on the verge of death.
Yes.
You're not gonna book a barn.
No.
You're just not.
No,
you're just not.
No,
you can't do that to him. Can't do that, Tim.
I thought that was a bit crazy. For sure.
We did, everybody. Congratulations. We're back next week. We're heading over to Paramount Plus.
Ooh, they got the Christmas game this year?
From what I gather, this is a Showtime movie.
Oh, wow.
That it's like a show, you know, how that's all one thing now. But whatever. Either way, it's the Christmas classic is what we're going to be doing. The Christmas classic. Will it be a Christmas classic? Join us next Monday to find out. Until then, maybe we're the first to wish you a Merry Christmas.
Deck the Hallmark's a Bramble Jam podcast is produced by Aaron Shea. For more information on Deck the Hallmark, you can go to deckthehallmark.com. For more information on the Deck the Hallmark family, you can go to bramblejamplus.com. Deck the Hallmark is presented by Philo TV. For a free trial of Philo, go to philo.tv/DTH.